Welcome to the BettingPros PGA Podcast. I'm Pat Fitzmaurice, joined by Bo McBrayer. It's Super Bowl week, which also means it's Phoenix Open week for the PGA Tour. Somehow it seems fitting that these two events coincide since both are as much about parties as they are about sports. The Waste Management Phoenix Open is unquestionably the Tour's most alcohol-soaked event, and the rowdiness can go a little over the top at times. But hey, I don't want to sound like a killjoy. It's a really fun tournament played on a fun course, and it is a much more entertaining lead-in to the Super Bowl on Sunday than all of the pregame shows. Now, on today's show, we will start with a quick recap of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Then we'll give you a full betting preview of the Waste Management Phoenix Open. We'll share our early betting cards with you, and then we will make our weekly one-and-done picks at the end of the show. Now, Bet365 has a special offer for our listeners. Turn $5 into $150 of bonus bets when you join Bet365. To claim the offer, just go to bettingpros.com/365 and deposit at least $10. If you place a bet of at least $5, you'll earn $150 in bonus bets. Again, that's bettingpros.com/365. Age 21 and over only, must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, or Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or if you live in Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. Terms and conditions apply. Rory McIlroy was playing his first PGA Tour event of 2025, and he cruised to a two-shot victory over one of our favorite bets of last week, Bo, Shane Lowry. McIlroy finished 21 under par. He played fabulously over his 4 days on the Monterey Peninsula, aside from a shaky back nine Friday at Pebble Beach. But after a six-hole stretch in which he was 4 over par, Rory finished his second round by holing a 25-foot eagle putt on the par 5 18th. That gave him a 70 for the round and a whole lot of momentum going into the weekend. Sepp Straka started the tournament with a pair of 65s, but kind of lost his mojo on the weekend. There were some of the good players in contention: Lowry, Tom Kim, Russell Henley, Justin Rose, but it was Rory who prevailed. Two other things to mention before I throw it over to you, Bo, for your thoughts on the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Number one, utterly ridiculous to have the coverage gap in the switch over from the Golf Channel to CBS on Sunday. A lot of viewers were understandably angry that they did not get to see the leaders playing the short par 3 7th hole at Pebble Beach, one of the most iconic holes in American golf. It's just utterly absurd that there would be no TV coverage of the tournament leaders playing a classic hole on Sunday afternoon. Silly and inexcusable. Number two, Tom Kim can be such a fun young player. He's fiery. He's wildly talented. He should be the sort of player who fans get excited about watching. But Tom Kim is a preposterously slow player, and it's starting to become a problem for the PGA Tour. Slow play generally is a problem for the Tour, but Tom Kim certainly, he might not be the only player guilty of it, but there were a lot of people upset with Kim yesterday based on the reactions I saw on Twitter. Bo, your thoughts on the AT&T Waste Management Pro-Am, or excuse me, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am?
So right off the top, great job to Rory. What a charge on Sunday to basically just take the whole tournament by storm on Sunday when the weather was decent. The wind was up. People were struggling to score and make birdies, but Rory, I think he made 5 or 6 eagles that week, including an ace on Thursday. Lowry also had an ace on Thursday. It was just a great time. And Lowry's ace was on number 7, which was why everybody in the world was excited to see the lead group with Lowry and Rory, and I believe it was Sepp Straka play the 7th hole at Pebble Beach. It's basically a pitch shot wedge. It's 105 yards downhill 40 feet. So you're not hitting a full wedge into this hole, but the wind plays a factor. It's a humongously momentous hole on this golf course because you can either make a 2 or you can end up floating away into the rough or a bunker with the wind and make a 4 or 5. And we didn't get to see it. That's the PGA Tour's fault. The broadcast is awful. The PGA Tour has done nothing in 6 years to fix their broadcast for the golf. It wasn't on Golf Channel. They went to the Bahrain Championship replay from earlier in the day, and then they tossed it over to CBS, who still had University of Illinois versus I believe, I don't even remember, it was some other Big Ten team. Yeah, nobody cares. Even Ohio State basketball fans don't care about their basketball team. When the Pebble Beach Pro-Am is on final round, the leaders are on the seventh tee, and nobody got to see it because the PGA Tour has a coverage problem. And that ties in with me disagreeing with you on the slow play issue, because I don't think that pros should have to worry about pace of play, period. They're playing for gobs and gobs of money, especially in a signature event, and it's up to the broadcast to only show the parts that are important. You don't need to see how long Tom Kim is toiling over a fairway shot on number 6 when he's just going to spray it into the hazard, into the Pacific Ocean. We don't need to see how long he's frozen over the ball on a putt to line up a putt. Just show us what we want, which is the shots. They got 30 million commercials. You have all this crap that we don't want to watch, and that seems to be what the PGA Tour wants to show us. It's just junk after junk after junk, bringing up stuff that doesn't matter, like pace of play on the Pro Tour. It's like, I don't care if they're playing for 6.5 hours. I want to see the shots that they take. And whether it's a live or on a tape delay, I don't care. I just want to see more shots. And they couldn't give it to us that 6 years in the running. They've done the same exact thing on Sunday of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, where the lead group has been off TV completely for 6, 7, and 8, which is by far the best 3-hole stretch in the world of golf. Like, we're talking Amen Corner status, where guess what? The Masters never misses Amen Corner. They inundate us with Amen Corner. They have a special feed for Amen Corner, and Pebble Beach gets none of it on TV. I'm absolutely livid with that, because it's been the same problem as long as anybody can remember, and they've done nothing to fix it. They've even made it worse. I don't care if Tom Kim takes 7 hours to play his final round and his group was on the clock. I don't care. I just want to see more shots. Even if they're just like, hey, from earlier, Tom Kim took 7 years to put a 6-footer and he missed. Or he took 6 years to hit his approach on 6 and he hit it into the ocean. I don't care. I just want to see the shots. It's unbelievable. The PGA Tour is garbage on TV, and they've done nothing to fix it.
Totally agree with the TV coverage. I'm not so mad that Tom Kim stood behind his ball lining up the shot for 43 seconds or stood over the ball for 23 seconds or whatever it was. But I thought it was pretty outrageous that he hit his ball into the ocean on 18. His caddy told him it was gone and said he should hit a provisional, chose not to hit a provisional, walk up to the ball, look for it, then have to walk all the way back, because that messes up the leaders behind him. Yeah. So, I'm sure there were probably some frowny faces in the locker room over that.
I honestly don't think most of these pros actually care. Like, you got guys that play really fast, you got guys that play really slow. It's been like every level of competitive golf, you have different pace of play. And the slow golfers never bothered me, even though I play faster than Ludwig Oberg out there. I barely take a practice swing. I'm just out there playing ready golf. Like, that's what I was always taught, but not everybody was taught ready golf. They were taught to take your time and make a shot. And so I honestly am not bothered by slow play. It's just, especially on the Pro Tour, it shouldn't be an issue. It's just a matter of, if it's on TV, not everything needs to be on TV. Like, they cut away to so many people like punching each other on the range. Hey, how's the family? Like, we don't care. Brought to you by MasterCard.
You may be right that no one on the PGA Tour cares about slow play, or at least now that Brooks Koepka is on the LIV Tour, because I know Brooksy was not a big fan of slow play. Now, we will get to the odds for the Waste Management Phoenix Open in just a moment, but first,
download the free Betting Pros app for iOS and Android. With Sportsbook Sync, you can automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. Create custom betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities. Get a free trial of Betting Pros Premium by downloading the app and activating your trial on the upgrade screen.
After a small field no-cut tournament at Pebble Beach last week, the Waste Management Phoenix Open will be a standard full field event. As always, the Phoenix Open will be played at TPC Scottsdale. It's a par 71 measuring 7,261 yards. It's an interesting course that, in that it doesn't really seem to heavily favor certain types of players. Long hitters and short hitters alike have won here over the years. TPC Scottsdale often plays firm and fast, so being a good scrambler doesn't hurt. There are 3 par 5s at TPC Scottsdale, and they're all between 550 and 560 yards. Very gettable in 2 shots, so par 5 scoring is critical here. The par 4s are a nice mix of longer and shorter holes. TPC Scottsdale is kind of a horses for courses type of venue, Bo. Track records are pretty important here. A lot of players thrive at TPC Scottsdale and show up on the leaderboard year after year. But, Bo, I'm kind of burying the lead here. The defining element of this host course is its massive crowds. The Waste Management Phoenix Open draws just throngs, huge galleries, sometimes upwards of 200,000 people. And these are loud, boisterous galleries, especially on the famous par 3 16th hole with its stadium setup. It's only 163 yards, but with a crowd that big looking on, it is one of the most pressure-packed holes in professional golf. The ability to play under pressure is pretty critical at this event because it's almost like playing at a major. And by the way, that wild scene at the 16th hole is part of a great finishing stretch at TPC Scottsdale. The 15th hole is a fun risk-reward par 5 with water down the left side and surrounding the green. Then you've got the chaos of the 16th hole. Then the par 4 17th, a 332-yard par 4 with a drivable green with water to the left of the hole, left of the green and behind the green. And then finally, there's the 18th hole, which requires a pinpoint drive over water and between bunkers. I love the home stretch here, Bo. Some recent winners at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Nick Taylor won last year. He opened with a first round score of 60 and eventually finished 21 under par, beating Charley Hoffman in a playoff. Scottie Scheffler won in 2022 and 2023. He was 16 under in 2022, 19 under in 2023. Brooks Koepka finished 19 under par to win in 2021. And Webb Simpson had a late career victory in the Phoenix Open in 2020, finishing 17 under and beating Tony Finau in a playoff. The weather forecast for the Phoenix Scottsdale area this week: sunny all week. Highs ranging from the upper 70s early in the tournament to the lower 70s later in the tournament. Pretty good weather for spectators. Light winds throughout the week. Scoring conditions should be good. Bo, your thoughts on TPC Scottsdale?
Yeah, this tournament's just fun. It's a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of the Chico State atmosphere when I was in college. Arizona State obviously being next door in Tempe. That's Scottsdale area. February is Scottsdale month. I mean, they've had the Super Bowl there various times. They always have the Waste Management Phoenix Open Super Bowl week, which invites all the ASU students to get lubricated and fill the galleries, which, I mean, you said 200,000. I think they've had upwards of 500,000 before, just on when the Super Bowl was in Scottsdale. It throngs of people. And then right after this week, we have spring training that starts up for half of Major League Baseball in Arizona. Arizona is the place to be in February, and it's really kicked off by the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I just love the atmosphere, the ability for the Golf Channel and the PGA Tour to maybe show some better TV footage where we actually care what people around are looking like. It's anytime you get a hole in one on 16, there's like all sorts of beer bottles being thrown on the green. It's ceremonious. It's ridiculous, but it's so much fun. And that's more of what golf should be, other than what we've been getting every other tournament of the year. They do treat this kind of like a major with TV coverage, which I do appreciate. I just think, yeah, horses for courses. You mentioned Scottie Scheffler. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to bet against him this week. But yeah, I'm just excited because this course doesn't really favor anybody other than the people who seem to like it when they play there. It's not like you need bomber, you need a good short game. No, you just need to play golf and be able to play it under a microscope of sorts.
Now let's take a look at the odds for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. We'll start with the favorites. All odds are courtesy of DraftKings as of Monday morning. Scottie Scheffler, as Bo just mentioned, a heavy favorite, checking in at 3-1. Justin Thomas is 11-1. Two-time Phoenix Open winner Hideki Matsuyama is 16-1. Sungjae Im is 20-1. Corey Connors also 20-1. Ben An and Tom Kim are both 35-1. And Sepp Straka and Sahith Theegala are 40-1. Bo, are we once again recommending a live betting only strategy for Scottie Scheffler at those odds? And is there anyone else you like from among this group?
No and no. I'm actually going to be betting Scottie 3-1 because I do think he has more than a 33% chance of winning this week. He looked really good in his first event at Pebble Beach. Didn't win, but he was always kind of lurking nearby. Where he couldn't quite find the rhythm to make a bunch of birdies. His off the tee game was a little erratic, but his iron play was spot on. His short game was spot on. He made a lot of birdies on Sunday to kind of make you think that maybe there was a chance that he could make some noise and push Rory and the group ahead of him, but it didn't materialize. This place he's won 2 of the last 3 years. He's been in contention. Last year when he didn't win, Nick Taylor did. It was because it was when Scottie was in his major putting slump. He was still not too far off. It wasn't like Scottie was out of contention last year. I think that 3-1 is fine for him at this particular event. There's very few guys that I really like at this tournament. Scottie's very, very high perched atop the short list of people that I like betting at the Phoenix Open. So 3-1, and I pretty much start way deeper than that for everybody else.
Yeah, I mentioned that Scottie won here in 2022 and 2023. Terrible showing last year for Scottie when he only finished third. He was seventh here in 2021, so 4 straight years of finishing seventh or better. Like, I never love betting Scottie when the odds get as short as 3-1, but Bo, at an event he loves, with no Rory, no Xander Schauffele, no Victor Hovland, no Colin Morikawa, no Ludwig Oberg, 3-1 does seem like pretty good value.
I will be live betting him too.
Now, Justin Thomas does seem very much at home amidst the raucous Phoenix Open galleries. JT hasn't won here, but in his last 7 trips to TPC Scottsdale, he has finishes of 17th, 3rd, 13th, 8th, 4th, and 12th. Didn't have a great week at Pebble Beach, finishing 48th, but he was second at the Amex a few weeks ago. Now, Hideki Matsuyama won back-to-back trophies at this event in 2016 and 2017. He's finished top 30 here in 6 of the last 7 years since those wins, and he opened 2025 with a win at the Sentry. Man, at 16-1, Bo, I do kind of think Hideki is a bargain at that price.
Yeah, it's a pretty good number. I don't hate Hideki. I hate Justin Thomas's number because I don't think
too low.
He's done anything to deserve an 11-1 at any tournament these days. I have a lot of high hopes for him this season to turn his luck around, but he's been erratic. He's obviously a great iron player in the same ilk of Scottie Scheffler, but the rest of his game hasn't followed suit. And the only thing I worry about with Hideki is his off the tee game has been really erratic. Like, he's 77th in this field off the tee, and that's going to be important at Scottsdale. But I mean, it's 16-1. That's a pretty decent number for a guy who's easily the 3rd best, or probably the 2nd best player in this field, just based on recent form.
Yeah, and setting aside my disdain for Tom Kim's pace of play, this does seem like a setting where the fiery youngster could thrive, feeding off the big crowds. He's played here twice, finishing 17th here last year, and he was in contention last weekend at Pebble Beach. And I'll mention one more guy from the group of favorites. Sahith Theegala does seem pretty much at home in Scottsdale. He's finished top 5 here in 2 of the last 3 years, although Theegala has finished outside the top 35 in the 4 tour events he's played in 2025. Now, before we get to the mid-range options,
help shape the Betting Pros podcast. Take our quick, easy survey at bettingpros.com/survey and share your feedback to help us improve. All it takes is just a minute or two at bettingpros.com/survey.
Now for the mid-range betting options, Rasmus Højgaard is 45-1. Robert McIntyre, Kurt Kitayama, and Jordan Spieth are 50-1. Max Grazerman and Akshay Bhatia are 55-1. At 60-1, there is a huge group that includes defending champ Nick Taylor, Maverick McNeely, Matt Fitzpatrick, Luke Clanton, JT Poston, Davis Thompson, JJ Spawn, Cameron Young, Bo Hostler, and Wyndham Clark. Minwoo Lee and Max Homa are 65-1. Siwoo Kim, Ricky Fowler, and Harry Hall are 70-1. And Sam Stevens and Keith Mitchell are 75-1. Anyone you like from this group, Bo?
Two guys I'm really going to be liking this week. Obviously, Scottie, number one in my model, number one in past history here, number one in the world. He's going to get most of my actual money in this thing, but I'm going to push a lot of chips in on laddering Kurt Kitayama. Shout out NorCal. 50-1. I'm going to ladder his top 5 and top 10s along with it, plus 850 for top 5, plus 400 for top 10. This guy is a great off the tee player. He's a great long to mid approach player, and he's a really decent scrambler. I don't think that it's out of question to completely eschew putting stats for this type of event because these greens are flat. They're not too nuanced. I mean, heck, Scottie Scheffler has a very long track record of winning here, and he's not the greatest putter. Kurt Kitayama is a very similar player, not obviously as good on approach, but we're looking at a guy from tee to green who's as good as anybody in the world, and he's live here. 50-1 is insane for me in this field that's kind of top heavy with Scottie and a lot of other guys. The other one in that same ilk is Luke Clanton, 60-1. His top 5 number is plus 1,000, and his top 10 number is plus 450. Very, very talented player. I think that he's going to have tons of firepower to push the top of this leaderboard. Those two guys are getting quite a bit of emphasis on my betting slip.
Yeah, Kitayama hasn't been in great form in recent weeks, but he's finished 23rd and 8th here the last 2 years. So he has shown some aptitude for this course. I mentioned one more guy from this group. I agree this is not a group I want to hit too hard with the bets this week, Bo, but defending champion Nick Taylor at 60-1, a guy who shot a 60 on this course last year, a guy who finished second here 2 years ago, a guy who's already won on tour in 2025, hoisting the trophy at the Sony Open. Yes, please.
Yes.
What about long shots, Bo? Anyone with odds of 80-1 or longer who appeals to you?
Well, I'm always looking deep into these betting slips, especially in a full field event like this with a cut. You get a little more favorable odds on your deep shots. Lucas Glover has been playing really great. He's usually towards the very bottom of the putting rankings on the PGA Tour, like every single year. He's great at ball striking and god awful at putting. He was putting pretty decent except for one round at Pebble Beach last week. I think his ball striking really plays here. 80-1 for Lucas Glover. I'm also going to throw a top 10 on him at plus 550. Gary Woodland, horse for the course. And I'll note that Charley Hoffman's also at 90-1 and another horse for the course. He's always been around this place. Everybody at Waste Management loves Charley Hoffman. He's the ultimate Scottsdale player. So he and Gary Woodland, who won here before, albeit a few years ago, they're both at 90-1. I'm looking at both of them. I'm favoring Woodland this week because of recent form. I'm also going to throw a plus 280 number on his top 20. And then my deep shot is a guy who popped up in the top 5 of my model, and that's Joe Highsmith, 200-1, and his top 20 numbers at plus 450.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Charley Hoffman, sponsored by Waste Management. So he does seem to thrive under, he feels very much at home here. Billy Horschel is 80-1. Yeah. Billy Horschel at 80-1. He's finished, he finished 9th at Pebble Beach. He finished 21st at the Amex. So he's been in good form lately, and his track record in Phoenix is solid with 2 top 10s and 4 top 25s over the last 10 years. Daniel Berger, 4 top 11 finishes here in the last 10 years. He's missed the cut in 2 of the last 3 years, but 110-1 seems like a pretty intriguing price. Also 110-1, Bo, our guy, Michael Thorbjornsen, he is making his Waste Management Phoenix Open debut, but that's a lot of bang for the buck. A very talented young player at long odds. And our guy, Jake Knapp, 200-1. And I'm told that before, over the weekend, the odds had ballooned to 400-1. I wasn't aware of that, or I might have grabbed him to win. He finished 28th last year in his first ever Phoenix Open appearance, and he's finished top 35 in each of the last 2 weeks. So let's get to our early betting cards. Who do you have as of now, Bo?
So I have Scottie at plus 300, and I will be live betting him, especially if they slip. Last week I threw a little bit on him at plus 700 as he started with a bogey on Thursday. I was watching very closely on the live feed in the morning. I have Kitayama and Luke Clanton ladders outright and top 5 and top 10. And then Lucas Glover 80-1 and a top 10. And Gary Woodland top 20. And also a little bit outright at 90-1, and a little bit of Joe Highsmith 200-1 and a top 20 kicker.
Yeah, I've got an outright on Hideki Matsuyama at 16-1. I've got a Tom Kim vibe this week, Bo. So I've got him at 35-1 to win, along with the top 5 at 6-1. I'm not betting Billy Horschel to win, but I am ladder betting him for a top 5 at plus 1,200, a top 10 at plus 550, and a top 20 at plus 250. I'm taking Michael Thorbjornsen at 110-1, plus a top 5 kicker at 18-1. I've got Daniel Berger for a top 10 at plus 700. And I have Jake Knapp for a top 5 at 25-1 and a top 10 at 11-1. Now for our one and done competition, Bo took Patrick Cantlay last week. He tied for 33rd, earning $99,000. I took Jason Day. He tied for 13th, good for $368,500 in an elevated event. I picked up some ground on Bo. He has $734,000. I have $552,000. I picked first this week, and I'm going to take Hideki Matsuyama. He's fared so well in this event, and while he didn't play especially well last week at Pebble Beach, Hideki has generally been in pretty good form otherwise. What about you? Who are you taking in the desert this week?
I'm going to take a desert dweller. I'm going to take Kurt Kitayama. He resides in Vegas. He's from the Northern California chaparral, as we call it, up there where it's dry and windy. And so, I mean, it makes sense that he'd move down to Vegas as a pro tour golfer. So I like Kurt Kitayama this week a lot, and I'm going to take him this week.
And that's all for this week's Betting Pros PGA Podcast. I'll be out next week, but Bo and guest host Seth Woolcock will be here with a preview of the Genesis Invitational. Until then, so long, everyone.